Arcadia Massimo is a dedicated educator and experienced general contractor teaching a variety of construction courses at CCSF, including introduction to construction, blueprint reading, construction safety, residential plumbing, and carpentry framing. She also teaches visual merchandising in the fashion department. With a contractor's license and hands-on experience, Arcadia brings practical knowledge to her students, emphasizing the importance of perseverance and passion in pursuing a career in construction. After transitioning from a career in fashion and visual display, she discovers construction through a carpenter she worked with. Despite facing challenges as a woman in a male dominated field, Arcadia has become a passionate advocate for women entering the trades. Now, please join me in welcoming Arcadia.
Great. Thank you, Lori, and thank you, Angela, for the invitation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. I've prepared some slides to help me with my presentation. Let me start from the beginning. Okay, so yeah, hello, welcome everyone, and thank you. Thank you to all of you who are with us this afternoon for taking time out of your busy day to be here. I hope today's presentation is going to be helpful and knowledgeable for you. As Lori said, I am a teacher at City College of San Francisco, so I love doing talks like this. I love sort of educating people on what it is that I do for a living. So Lori already gave me like a wonderful introduction, but just to give you a little bit more about me, I am a San Francisco native. You know, I know people say that's a little bit rare for us. So, but yeah, born in the city, raised, educated, and I still live here in San Francisco. So I consider myself very lucky to be able to work and live in San Francisco still. I know we are considered the unicorns. As Lori said from my bio, that yes, I got my start in fashion, if you can believe it or not. Construction was the furthest thing from my mind, but working in the fashion field, it kind of led me down that path, working for that department store. The route that I took, though, when one of my coworkers, who was a former carpenter, was that I joined the union here in San Francisco. If you aren't aware, San Francisco is a very strong union city, which I think is great. So I followed that path. You know, I did do 4 years of college, but I went down the union path, and they have a very nice comprehensive program for training. I knew I wanted to be a carpenter, so that worked out well for me. As soon as I got my journeyman certificate, as they call it, not too long after that, I went and applied for my general contractor's license. And then the rest is kind of history. You know, here I am today. Some of the other things that I enjoy doing is organic gardening. In fact, I'm even thinking about getting my license in landscaping. I love to knit. I love to do small woodworking. You know, I'm a very hands-on person. Anything that keeps me out of an office type of environment, working outside is exactly what I like to do. So that's, in a nutshell, a little bit about me. So these are some of the questions that I pose to you guys, not just for carpentry, but construction in general. You know, if you want a career or you want to follow perhaps this career pathway, you need to ask yourself, do you enjoy hard work? Because there's just no way around it. This is physical hard work. Ask yourself, do you like working outdoors? Because a lot of the work that we do is outdoors. Sometimes my students even ask, do you work in the rain? And I'm like, we have worked in the rain, you know, depending on what it is that we're doing. If we're pouring concrete, the concrete can't stop, whether rain or shine. Do you like to get up very early? Most construction jobs start around 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. Do you like working with your hands? Can you work as part of a team also? You know, because you're always going to be working with a crew. Are you good at saving money for a rainy day? And I mean that actually very literally, because in the construction industry, you know, the days that we don't work, obviously, because of the weather, you're going to be sitting at home, no work, no pay. So that's another thing that I'm always trying to tell my students. You have to literally be good at saving for a rainy day and good money management skills. And do you want a career that is both rewarding and it gives back to the community? excuse me, I sometimes joke with friends that I could be the most annoying person to drive around the city with because I'm always pointing out projects that I worked on, like, oh, I worked on that. Oh, I worked on that building. But, it feels really good to have worked on buildings that, you're helping to build the city that you live in. So ask yourself some of these questions and see, like, does this resonate with me? And if it does, then perhaps a career in construction, not even necessarily carpentry, what it is that I do, but construction is perhaps could be a really good career path with you. So, but let's start with carpentry, being a carpenter, because that is, why you guys are here, and that's what I am. I'm a journeyman carpenter, and carpentry dates back thousands of years. It's one of the oldest trades or occupations out there. And if you think about, look around where you are today, whether it's your home, maybe you're tuning in from an office, our modern society exists, I say, because of the built environment. The roads that we drive, the bridges that we cross, all of that has to do with us, the people who are the builders. So, we live in a very modern society because of us as the tradespeople. So, it's more than just carpentry, is more than just nailing the wood. We are there. We are the first person at the job. And sometimes we're the last to leave. So, a successful career in carpentry or any trade to begin with, it requires that you have to be very physically fit, as I was saying. One of the funny things is one of my first jobs, I'm trying to like lift the wood, the 2x4s, and I'm struggling and having a hard day. And I remember one of the foremen coming up saying to me, like, you're going to have to join the gym. You're going to have to get stronger. I was this small, very petite young girl, and they were actually right. So, you need the physical ability to do this, but also the mental aptitude. That's one of the things that I need to stress to people when they think about the carpentry career or construction in general, is that it's not just all the physical work that we see people doing. You do need to have the mental aptitude. You need to be smart because you have to be able to figure things out. So I sometimes get offended. I'm very protective of us as tradespeople when people think, oh, you're just blue collar workers, dirty, just building things all day, but they don't understand how kind of like incredibly smart and problem solvers that we have to be able to do what it is that we do. You have to also enjoy being able to learn new things. I love that no 2 days are alike on a construction site. And be able to work well with others, because as I said, you're always part of a crew. So carpenters work for general contractors typically. You may work for a general contractor, or you may work for a subcontractor, perhaps who specializes in some kind of carpentry work. And so, as I was mentioning, it's really great because you get to see a building being built from the ground up. Because a lot of times we are the first people on the jobs and we're also the last to leave. We're involved in every aspect of the building itself. So we work on new construction. We work on remodeling projects. There's a lot of remodeling projects here in San Francisco because of the fact that there really isn't a whole lot of areas to be able to build. So we're just tearing down and rebuilding, or we're taking existing buildings and we're refurbishing them. There's prefabrication now, people who have factories who are sort of prefabbing things and then delivering them to the job sites. And then there's just a lot of other related careers. So you don't just have to think about putting nail to wood, if you want to be a carpenter. There's a lot more that you can do with this field. I sit here and I say carpentry, it's one of the, oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I kind of just lost my slides here. Give me a minute. Yeah. Carpentry, it's one of the largest trades groups actually in the United States. When you think about all the trades that are out there, carpentry is number one. And I want to tell you something, and I don't say this to brag because like, oh, she's a carpenter, but when you look at the hierarchy of all the trades, we've heard of plumbers, electricians, the HVAC trades, painters, and on and on. Carpentry is at the top of the food chain. We're at the top of the hierarchy. And I'm not saying that to brag, but it really is. You sort of need to start with the carpenters first, and then all the other trades sort of fall underneath us. According to the United States Bureau of Labor, their statistics is that we have about 1 million carpenters here in the US alone, and that number is expected to grow to by 80,000 by the year 2028. So, I think that's really good because there is a need for us. There's a need for construction workers. A lot of our work just can't be outsourced, such as some of the other industries and some of the other trades. We need to be able to be here on the ground to build things, to sort of bring it more to today's times. I'm sure most of us have heard about, all the horrible fires that were taking place down in Southern California. Well, that area, God willing, is going to have to be rebuilt. And you need the people here on the ground to be able to rebuild that. So jobs in carpentry are expected to be plentiful. They are definitely expected to increase due to the demand of people. You have people who are retiring out, and we don't have a whole lot of people coming back in to replace the folks who are starting to age out of the industry and retire, as well as some people just decide like perhaps this is something they don't want to do any longer and they just leave the field on their own. And this is across the whole construction industry, I think, and this is something I explain to my students, whether we're looking for superintendents, the foremans, the engineers, as well as the tradespeople, the construction industry, we really are hurting for a lack of available talent right now. Okay, so you've decided you want to go into construction, carpentry perhaps. Where do you start? The first thing you have to do is at least have your high school diploma or the equivalency, a GED. If you do have a high school, or if you've gone to a high school, I don't know really who's the age of the folks who are on here, but if let's say you are in high school right now and your high school offers any kind of woodshop classes or interior design classes, please take them because they're definitely going to help you in the long run. One of the things that you can do after high school is enroll in a community college or a trade school. I would say going to a community college might be actually your best bet because especially if you're a San Francisco resident, free CCSF is still available. And you can take a lot of the classes that I teach that will really help you and actually sort of give you that opportunity to take the class and say, is this something I want to do before you make that huge commitment? Or you can go the union route, which is the route that I chose. But as I said, taking college courses, it'll give you that broad kind of like view to take a few courses here and there before you make like a huge financial commitment. So at City College here, I've given you a list of some of the classes that are offered in general. Some of these classes I teach and some of the classes are taught by other instructors. I will say though, if you are interested in our classes, please sign up right away. Our spring semester is already underway right now. So I'm sorry, can't sign up for any of these classes, but at least think about these courses for the fall semester. We don't offer any construction classes in the summer, but definitely all these classes are offered in the fall. And my last bullet point that I put there, classes fill up quickly. They really do. Most of the classes are pretty self-explanatory. That last one that says OSHA 10, in case you're wondering what that is the construction safety class, where it's a 10-hour class where you will get your card, your actual OSHA card. And that is something that employers look for, contractors look for, because it's shown that you've taken a safety class and you have the safety awareness to be able to work on a construction site. This next slide here is just a few pictures that I thought would be fun to share with you of some of my classes that I teach, some of my students. I try to make the classes as hands-on as possible. So it's a combination of lecture, because of course I have to explain things to you, but then we go out into the different areas of our campus and we do the hands-on activities. So I think they're a lot of fun. And this is actually the best place to learn. Make your mistakes here, learn here. I don't only have students who want to go in the trades, but I also have students who are just homeowners who are just like, look, I just want to learn how to be able to fix things around my house, or I just want to understand the process. So when I do call in contractors, I kind of understand what's going on. So I have a broad demographic of students who show up. So, but yeah, I think it's a lot of fun to take these classes. Okay, so the second route you can do if you don't want to sort of go the city college route or some kind of trade school is do the apprenticeship through the union. And as I mentioned, this was the route I took. So an apprenticeship is you are actually learning on the job. So you're going to be working, a regular 40-hour-a-week job, as well as every so often they'll call you to take classes. So here in bullet point number 2, I say you work side by side with other apprentices, other journeymen at the construction site. And then about quarterly, I want to say every 3 months or so, I'm trying to remember what it was when I was going through the Carpenter apprenticeship. You get your letter and you give your letter to the boss saying, hey, it's time for me to go take my classes. Because it's a 4-year program. And it's a really good program because it's very comprehensive. So you go to school for that 1 week. The school's in Pleasanton. So you're there for that whole week. You're learning whatever the subject might be of that week. That could be blueprint reading, it could be framing, stair building, whatever the case might be. And then once that week is done, then you go back to the job site that you were working on. And then once you've done that for the 4 years, you've completed a certain amount of work hours out in the field, along with you've completed all the required courses that you've needed to take. Then at the end of that, you'll go ahead and you'll get your journeyman certificate. So I say here in bullet point 5, if you have zero experience, it's just like you're just straight off the street, you don't even know how to read a tape measure, which is fine, and you decide to apply through the Carpenters Union, they have a 6-week pre-apprenticeship program that they might send you through first before you join the more formal apprenticeship program. So if you decide to look through these links, that's a live link that I've put there on bullet point 6, and that'll take you exactly to the page that you need to go for applications and also finding out more information than what I'm mentioning here. So, and then again, bullet point 7, I said, this is the route that I chose. I went through the apprenticeship program and I'm very happy that I did. Okay, so requirements though, for the apprenticeship program, you have to be at least 18 years of age. You need a high school diploma or a GED, a California driver's license, and you should have reliable transportation because, of course, construction, you're driving from different sites, depending on where the contractor you're working for may send you. I've worked, excuse me, all over the Bay Area, so it is good that you have reliable transportation and not have to depend on public transportation, especially since the work that we do is so early in the morning. You have to be at work. If work starts at 6, you're expected to be there at 6:30. Walking through the gate at 7 o'clock, or excuse me, if work starts at 7, you're expected to be there at 6:30. Walking through the gates at 7 o'clock in construction is actually considered late. So, if you have to depend on the bus and the bus is late, well, then, that's going to create problems for you. And then it's open enrollment, at least the Carpenter apprenticeship, they do have open enrollment. And I mention that because if you are interested perhaps in a different trade, say like electrical or plumbing, their enrollment isn't open. They only take applications at certain times when they open up their application process, but at least the Carpenters is open. Okay, and then the one last thing that I want to mention here as far as getting additional training is City Build. City Build is a program with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, the San Francisco agency here. They work actually in collaboration with City College of San Francisco. I really, really love this program. And the reason being is because when I was hired at City College, this is what I was hired. They brought me in to be the coordinator to work with the office, OEWD, as the sort of City College liaison with this, the OED office. So I have nothing but good things to say about this program. If you are a San Francisco resident and you definitely know you want to perhaps not only be a carpenter, but maybe go into some other trade, you just want to work in construction, then please look into this program here. Right now, while this slide is up, there's some contact information of who you can reach out to. They do all the recruiting. The training is going to be held at City College, the Evans campus. That's the campus where I teach. But the recruitment of the students here in San Francisco, it's a free program for you. Please take advantage of this. The recruitment is done by the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. They recruit all the students for this. We're just the educational partner. But it's a 12-week program. You are in school every day. So Monday through Friday from 7 o'clock to 3:30, very much like a construction site. You're in school, and even the photo that you see here over to the right, like that's a student there. They give you the uniform, they give you your tools. They give you all the training. When it's time for you to go out to work, they network with a lot of different contractors here in the city. They help place you on your first job. They help place you within the first union that you're going to go to. I just don't understand why someone who wants to do construction, how come everyone doesn't do this program? I mean, it's a wonderful program that the city offers to help get our city folks into these really great high paying construction jobs. So please, screenshot this while it's up here, take a photo or get the information later. But I really do encourage you, take classes with me. That would be great, taking the classes here and there. But if you're someone already, like, I really want to do this, then this is the route that I strongly suggest you take. Okay, moving on. So some of the skills that you might need to be a construction worker, as I mentioned, you have to be able to do physical work. And actually, to just sort of piggyback a little bit on the city build slide that I just had, in addition to regular construction classes that they offer, one of the classes that they offer the students is PE, because yes, they understand they've got to get the students sort of like physically fit for this. So it can't be stressed enough. If you're someone who's on the diet of the chips and soda in the morning, you need to cut that out because you won't last on a construction site. Okay, next, the manual dexterity. As I mentioned, you have to be able to work with your hands and different tools and materials. And it's okay. Like, excuse me, I was completely new when I came into the construction. As I mentioned, I came from fashion. They will train you. They will teach you. So don't let that shy you away or be scared. Just be willing to learn and willing to try. You have to genuinely like this work and not just looking for a paycheck. I tell my students all the time, I promise you this, money is not enough of a motivation to get you up at 4 o'clock in the morning because you've got to hit the road, get to Hayward, Union City, and be there by 6 or 6:30. You need to genuinely love this work. Because sometimes students will even ask me in class, what's the highest paying trade? I want to go for that one. And I won't ever tell them. And they're like, why? I go, because I promise you, if I told you and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to make all this money. Once you start doing it, you're going to realize like, the money doesn't motivate you enough. You need to choose a particular trade that you love doing. So you have to really love this work and not just looking for a paycheck. Have integrity and a good work ethic, because the work that we do, it impacts the public safety. If you're someone who's not very conscientious, about the work, I don't want someone who's kind of a sloppy worker working on the elevators that I'm going to be riding or the escalators, or you're like, oh, that's good enough. Cabinets come falling off the wall. Like, just because, again, we're blue collar workers doing this hands-on work, we're very neat, we're very methodical, we're very precise. We have to think about that because the work that we do, someone could get hurt if we're not like just taking our time. Whatever it is that we're building. So, and you have to be able to follow safety rules. That's a must across the board for everyone. No contractor wants to work with someone. They don't care if you're the fastest plumber, you're the best carpenter, if you are a liability on the job site. So that's why I put here in italics, people who fail at this job are those with the bad attitudes, not necessarily that you have a bad skill level. You're just someone who kind of resists authority, taking orders, and not wanting to do good, clean work. Okay, so advancement opportunities. At the end of your apprenticeship, you are going to be a journeyman carpenter. So hopefully you're going to continue to grow, improve your skills, and learn. One of the things that the apprenticeship program, the Carpenter School in Pleasanton, once you finish that, they even have advanced level classes that you can take at the journeyman level for those folks who perhaps want to be a foreman one day or just learn other skills. So it's the impetus is on you, though, to stay up to date on building codes, read trade magazines, go to trade organizations, join a trade organization, go to conferences. These are all the things that I did. Once I got into construction, I loved it. I was like, wow, who would have thought like this fashion girl would end up in construction? But so I really sort of dove in. I used to be a member of NAWIC, the National Association of Women in Construction. I loved going to all their conferences across the United States, meeting other women in the industry. And so once you've kind of got like a little bit of experience underneath your belt, then later on, you might decide that you want to be a general contractor. So now let's kind of jump to that. So becoming a GC, a general contractor, first and foremost, I say you need to bookmark this site. This is also a live link. This is the Contractor State License Board. This is where you're going to find all the information that you need. But just to give you the bare bones minimum right now, you have to be 18 years of age. And this, you need 4 years of experience at the journeyman level within the last 10 years. So if you're someone who's like, oh yeah, I was a carpenter 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that's not going to count. I was like, that was too long ago. It has to be within the last 10 years. And let me kind of reiterate this 4 years, because this trips up some of even my students. They understand they're going to go and perhaps join the Carpenter apprenticeship program, and that's a 4-year program. So they think at the end of the 4 years of that program, they meet the qualifications to get their GC license. And I'm like, actually, no. At those 4 years, you weren't the master carpenter. You were pushing a broom, sweeping up sawdust, fetching tools. And I said, they mean 4 years at the journeyman level of experience. And I said, so when you turn in your application, you can say, yeah, I completed this apprenticeship program. They may give you a year and a half credit to those 4 years, but it's not the 4 years of that apprenticeship program. That's not what they're talking about 4 years of experience. So that's why it says they're at the journeyman level of work. You were the foreman of the job. You were running work. You were a lead carpenter. And then you have to be able to pass 2 exams. One is a trade exam. One is a law exam. And the exams, it's a 7-hour exam. And this is important to understand that any work that you might be doing right now, side work with friends and buddies, that's considered $1,000, meaning labor and materials together, $1,000, you need to be a licensed GC. And that number has actually changed drastically, because when I first got my license, you could do work up to $2,500 and not be licensed. And then it was $2,000, and then it was $1,500, and now it's dropped down to $1,000. So that's just about any job that you do. And any work requiring permits, regardless of the cost, you need to be a licensed general contractor, because they're just really trying to crack down on folks who are doing work who don't have the proper licensing, meaning they don't have the proper skills for the work. Some of the pros and cons to owning your own business: the advantages are that you get to be the boss, which is great. You can choose your own specialty. Maybe you want to specialize in just doing home services like repair work. Maybe you want to specialize in kitchen and bathroom remodels. Your earning potential is limitless, depending on how hard it is that you want to work. You get to choose your own projects. I really like that myself. And every day is different. No 2 days are the same. The disadvantages, again, you are the boss. That can be a pro, that can be a con. Meaning the disadvantage is that you are the boss, so everything falls on your shoulders. Your subcontractors are depending on you, the owners, you're getting the calls from everybody, whether it's good or bad, because you are the boss. Work can be unpredictable. Construction work is very seasonal. I was talking with my plumbing subcontractor. In fact, the other day, he was asking me about some jobs and works. And I'm like, yeah, our industry, it's either feast or famine, some of these days. A disadvantage is that you're dealing with everyone. If you're not a people person, everyone's going to bring the problems to you of what's going on the job site. The hours can be long. Sitting at your kitchen table, sitting in your living room, just going through plans. And then the employer responsibilities, if you are going to have employees. But again, I saw this saying once that it said, entrepreneurs, we are the crazy people who would rather work 100 hours for ourselves than 40 hours for someone else. And I said, yes. So even though you see all these disadvantages, it's like, I'd rather do this than kind of have a boss over my shoulder, micromanaging myself. So some of the skills needed to be a GC is, besides the obvious of meeting all the requirements to get your license, some of the things that I say is that you do need to be in good health, for the most part, because, your business depends on you. You have to be responsible, willing to accept the consequences of your decisions, whether they're good or bad. You definitely need to be a good planner and a good time management person, because you're going to have a variety of jobs going on, and you've got to make sure things aren't falling through the cracks. You have to be organized. I put exclamation point, exclamation point. Whatever your organization system is, please make sure you set up something, because that's really going to make a decision whether you kind of like fail or succeed in this business. You do need to be willing to take risks. And innovative, finding clever ways to improve your business, not just sort of sitting there doing things the way they've always been done. I sometimes get calls from, a variety of different designers or architects. I'm like, I never really thought about doing that. People who are developers wanting to develop certain land different ways. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, maybe not, but I'm just always on the lookout for different things. So I put here this slide, the GC Carpenter connection. And the reason why I put this slide here, you'll notice most general contractors come from the carpentry trade. And that's because when you are applying for your GC license, one of the requirements is you have to show proficiency, meaning you're fluent. You know this, like the back of your hand, in 3 trades to be a GC, because general contractors, we have to know everything about the house that's coming up out of the ground. So the state says you need to show that you are proficient in 3 trades. One of them must be carpentry. The other 2 can be anything else that you've chosen. That's why you'll notice a lot of general contractors were former carpenters or come from that carpentry trade. So that's sort of the GC carpentry connection, I say. So I say it's fun work if you can get it. It really is. I love being a GC. I have no regrets of just sort of like, saying I'm going to give it a try. I was 30 when I went out on my own. I was working for a general contractor. Truth be told, I don't know if I quit or if I was fired. I was in an argument with the superintendent of a job that they were sending me to. And he was upset that I wasn't there. And I'm like, no one told me. That's why I went to this other job. And I'm arguing. And I remember this distinctly. I was on the Bay Bridge driving across to Oakland. And if you remember the old Bay Bridge on the left side, there used to be that exit there for Treasure Island. I remember that exit was coming up and I was on the phone arguing with this boss because something was just telling me, Arcadia, take that exit, get back on the top deck of the bridge, go back to the job site, drop off the keys, you're done. And that's exactly what I did. I even kind of shocked myself. So that's kind of how I ended up as a GC. I told myself I was 30 years old, had my license. I said, it's either now or never that I give this a try to see if I can do it on my own. And I'm glad that I made that decision. No 2 days are alike, as I said. I work with a wonderful team of architects, interior designers, real estate agents, even the homeowners, knock on wood. I've had some wonderful homeowners that I love working with. So if you're a people person, this is definitely the career path for you. I don't wear my bags as much. Now that I'm the GC, I'm more of a manager overseeing everything. So first and foremost, you have to know your trade. That's why I put here in this last bullet point, you wouldn't trust a doctor with very little schooling. Hands-on experience is the same way. So that's why when I have students who are like, if I take your class, can I then go apply for my license? I'm like, no way, you're nowhere near ready to become a GC. Okay, these are just a few photos that I thought also would be fun to kind of just show you some of the work that we do. We do very high-end, large-scale residential remodels. This was a primary suite bathroom for a job here in San Francisco. This was another bathroom remodel I just finished last year. This actually turned out really beautiful. Even though it was a very unique color combinations, the homeowners chose all the finishes themselves. This was a project south of Market. This was a large modern farmhouse in St. Helena that we finished last year, where we gutted the whole house and redid it. Another beautiful job. And this is actually a current project that I'm working on right now in the Excelsior district here in the city. You can see the picture on the right there, ripped out the whole back. They had an existing deck that wasn't built to code. So the picture on the right kind of shows where we are. The handrails have been up, I should say, by now, but yeah. So in fact, I was just there this morning meeting with the homeowners. Anyways, so in addition to being a GC, you can be a teacher or, a regular construction person. You can go into the teaching trade like me. Many carpenters who are teachers, they came from the trade, who no longer want to work in the field. And this is a great way for us now to continue to pass on, what it is that we do to the next generation that's coming up behind us. So, and I think the work of teaching is just as rewarding as working with clients. I love working with my students. You can teach woodshop classes at the high school level. Instructors are definitely needed at the college level, I say. You can even go work for a manufacturer. manufacturers, whether it's tools, whether it's materials, they need to hire tradespeople, because we have the experience of working with these things to go around to different contractors or go around on trade shows and conferences and demonstrate their materials and tools. Some carpenters write for trade magazines, textbooks, and then many have started their own YouTube channel and have been very successful with that. My students keep trying to get me to do that. Other occupations that you can think about with your experience as a construction worker, you can be a project manager for a larger company. And again, like maybe you're like, I'm done working in the field with my bags. Let me go into the administrative side, to the office side. You are very valuable because you understand how a building is built from the ground up. And I don't say this really. I kind of have to like be ginger with my words here because I'm not trying to make people who work in the office feel bad. But I do think those of us who've actually built the building from the ground up, I just do believe we have a better understanding of when we're working in the office how things need to be done because we've actually done it. For us, it's not just textbook theory where perhaps an architect understands how to draw it on paper, but they've never really built it. So I think we bring a plethora of experience and knowledge if we want to be a project manager, an estimator, a scheduler, all of those things. And you can also be a safety manager or a safety coordinator. That is an occupation in and of itself where you could go and get training and just be the safety engineer. It doesn't matter, engineer, safety coordinator, safety person, what the title is, it's all the same thing. You're the person sort of managing the job site, making sure all the workers are following OSHA rules and standards of that sort. So carpenters and former GCs, as I was just saying, we are a good fit for these positions within larger companies just because of our experience out in the field. So our understanding of the challenges of working in this field, it really gives us a huge advantage. So I say your next steps for those of you that are sitting on this call here watching. One, you need to enroll in school or a city bill or go directly to the Carpenters Union. If you want to be a tradesperson of some sort or whatever trade you might be interested in, I should say. You need to study hard those 4 years that you're going to be, working out there in the field and learn all that you can. And then once you've completed that, work as a journeyman for 4 years. You now got your journeyman certificate. Do that for 4 years. Then you will be ready to go ahead and apply for your license if you wish to follow that path. And then in my final slide here, or my last sort of slide for this presentation, I say my small connection to the San Francisco Public Library. I was so happy when I got the email from Lori, and Lori's like, Arcadia, would you give a talk to the San Francisco, Library on Construction? I thought, oh my God, my life has come full circle. This building right here, this is a rendering that I just pulled off the internet here, was my very first job in construction. When I joined the union and, I got called out to my first job, it was the San Francisco Public Library, this building here. I worked for Huber Hutton Nichols. I remember them. They were the GC. I was working for a smaller subcontractor that was doing all of the millwork, casement. I used to know this library like the back of my hand. I mean, I knew all the doors, ins and outs, the stairs and everything. So I just thought, wow, I had to do this talk. I was just sort of like, this is amazing. Who would have thought 20 years, 25 years ago, I would be here talking about construction? So anyway, that's that. This is my company, Maximo Construction. This is my school email. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I love talking, as you can probably tell, and answering questions for folks. So please, definitely keep in touch. And thank you very much. And good luck to all of you. That is it.
Thank you so much, Arcadia. Does anyone have any question? Please feel free to put it in the Q&A and we'll read it out loud. While we're waiting for questions from the audience, I have a few questions for you. Earlier in the day, a patron emailed us and said that, she signed up, but she wasn't able to come join the program today, and she asked a question specifically about administrative aspect of construction. Okay, again, you give us some insight about the administrative aspect of the construction work.
Yeah, that I would say are the construction managers, and
Mhm.
there's actually classes that you can take. Like the college where I teach at, in the architecture department is where you're going to find our construction management program. And those are the folks who are inside the office. Sometimes there's a field office, but those are the ones who are the liaisons between the owners and as well as the field staff. So they're helping with the overall project management of the site of what's going on. So, having a business background is good. Having some kind of management skill background would be really good. And of course, understanding a little bit about construction. So, those are also the estimators, as I mentioned, the schedulers who are working on the scheduling, especially when you're dealing with these large jobs. You're building a hospital or you're building a stadium. You do need a lot of project managers on the job to work with the subcontractors and the GC. So that definitely is a lot more office work as opposed to being out in the field.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about job security in the
Mhm.
construction industry? Do carpenters or other trades have retirement plans?
If you go the union route, you do. And that's one of the great things about it is that, the wages that you're making are really great and high paying, but the benefits that you get, your retirement benefits, your pensions, your annuity, your health benefits. So yes, there is. As far as job security goes, well, I have to, be honest with you, it's very seasonal work. And sometimes there's a lot of work that's going on, and then sometimes the work slows down. So that's why, I say you have to learn how to save for a rainy day, literally, because some days you can just like have a really good banner year. There's a lot of work, and then sometimes work does slow down.
Hmm, got it. I want to mention if anyone is interested to work for the city and county of San Francisco, it's a very stable job environment. Um, and sometimes I see that the city is hiring a
Oh
carpenter or
yeah.
foreman. Yeah. And I know that some facility management directors, they began their career as carpenters. So there is, you know, a way that, oh, you can move from a more seasonal kind of work to a permanent and more secure kind of,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Lori, for bringing that up. You're right. You could go work for, how could I forget this? My father was an engineer for the city and county, a stationary engineer, which was a trade, and he worked for the city. So, yeah, thank you. You don't necessarily have to work for the individual GCs. There is the public sector that you could go into, and that would give you job security.
Mm, okay. Um, do carpenters, general contractors, or other trades need to complete continuing education or renewal courses to maintain their certification or licenses?
No, not at all. You would only do that for your own professional development, but it's not required.
Okay. And do you need to have a solid understanding of business management to be a successful general contractor?
Yes, definitely. I have had to go back and take a couple of business classes, and that has helped me a lot. Classes on accounting, classes understanding labor relations, things that now that I'm an employer, I need to be able to understand, the taxes I have to pay, the insurances that I'm required to carry. So, yes, taking a business class here or there, and that's where the community colleges are great for, are definitely helpful.
Mhm. Okay. What are some of the biggest challenges you face as a general contractor on a day-to-day basis, and how do you handle these challenges?
My biggest challenge, and I've actually heard this from other GCs, is finding good people to work with who want to work. Finding the work has never been that difficult, knock on wood, but I even hear my other GCs that I'm friends with saying that trying to find good people who will show up, do the job, because I can't always be there at the job looking over your shoulder. So I need to depend on you. That I have to say is the biggest challenge that a lot of us as GCs face.
Okay. I see a question from the audience. Arcadia, at one point you mentioned not following the money and instead what you like and enjoy, as that is what will keep you engaged in the work. How and when did you know carpentry was the right trade for you?
Yeah, good question. When I was working at Macy's doing visual merchandising, having all these creative ideas and wanting to learn how to build them, but not being able to because I had no skills, that's when I knew it's like, I want to learn how to build. And as Lori said in my bio introduction, there was a guy on our crew and I asked him, he was the carpenter. I used to love to watch him build and I knew like that's what I wanted to do. But I mentioned, when I was talking about myself that I love organic gardening, I didn't know landscaping also was a trade. So during COVID, when everyone was sitting at home, I was taking a lot of landscaping classes online at the college that I go to. And I was learning that. And I was like, geez, if I'd known this existed, I probably would have done landscaping even before doing carpentry. And landscapers don't make as much. It's still a good high paying trade, but they don't make as much as carpenters. But I love doing it. Like my backyard is beautiful, if I may brag for a minute. So yes, follow your passion, follow your heart. Don't follow the money.
Mm. Okay, let's see. Another question. Um, do you see many people who have successfully changed careers and entered construction industry? What advice would you give to someone considering a career change into construction?
Yeah, another good question. Yes, a lot of my students who come in, for some reason, I get a lot of chefs, ex-chefs, and I get a lot of folks from the tech world who are just burnt out. The first thing I do have to tell them, especially if they know they want to be a carpenter or some kind of construction worker, and I'm like, you need to decide now. It's now or never because I hate to say it, as you keep getting older and older, it's getting harder and harder on your body, harder and harder to wake up early in the morning. So the advice that I would tell you is just make the decision and just go out there and try it. You're not going to lose anything. If anything, you're going to gain. You're going to gain some skills that are just, in general, make you useful around the house. So you're not going to lose anything by just making that decision to go ahead and try. Um, Sometimes I have mothers who will call me like, I have a son, I don't think he's college worthy. And I'm like, tell him to go into the trades. And sometimes these mothers are just like, I didn't think you would say that. I go, no, you thought I was going to say, send your kid to a 4-year college. Not everyone is 4-year college bound or 4-year college ready. So if you go into the trades now, fine, you do that for 4 years. You are still young enough to go to college if you've decided, well, the trades aren't for me or I'm tired of doing that. You're going to leave with a hard skill that no one can take away from me. I could move to Hawaii. I could move to Canada. I could move to New York. I can always be a carpenter anywhere. And that's one of the great things. So I would tell someone who's sort of making that career transition. I see this in my students, especially the older ones who are in their 30s. I'm like, it's now or never. You really have to make that decision and go for it. And yeah, don't be afraid to just try.
Thank you so much, Acadia. Another question from the audience. What piece of advice would you give to students who feel lost, anxious, overwhelmed, and are stuck when it comes to deciding to pursue a career in the trades?
Okay, then that's when you go to like the community college where I am, or you do the City Build program, because the City Build program will give you a little bit of taste of everything, as well as the classes that I teach. So instead of just immediately going into a trade and being like, I'm not sure if I chose the right one, well, then take one semester, off, take one semester back, it's just one semester and go to like a community college and take a few of the different classes. This will help with that overwhelm. And this will help you actually decide if you really like doing this or not.
Okay, thank you. What advice would you give to women who are interested in pursuing a career in construction?
Don't be afraid. Women, this is the only industry where we make dollar for dollar of what a man makes. I don't know why everyone doesn't do this. And yes, there's going to be some guys out there who are mean, who are bullies. But let me tell you this, the majority of the men, at least the ones that I encounter, speaking from my experience, were actually great guys. Sure, you've got the one or two, bad apples, but, the bad apples don't ruin the whole bunch. So a lot of the guys are great. They're helpful. They just want to go to work, put in their 8 hours and go home, just like you. Some of my best friends today are the men that I work with. I showed that I'm there to work. I'm there to I'm not looking for any special favors. Like, yeah, I'm going to try and carry my own weight as much as I can as the rest of the people. So if you show that you're out there to just do the work like everyone else, they're going to treat you, with respect and kind of the same way that they treat their buddies. So I didn't find it was as scary or as difficult as women might think it might be.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much, Acadia. Does CCFF collaborate with other organizations or companies to help students find internship or job opportunities in the construction industry?
Yes, we do. We actually have a career, how would I say? We have a career specialist at the campus where I teach at, his only job is to work with the students at our campus. Our campus is focused on construction, automotive, and custodial. So his only job is to focus on those students who are looking for jobs, internships, like you say, apprenticeships, in those career paths. So that's what's really great and actually really unique about City College, is that instead of having one career counselor who's trying to help a whole college, all kinds of different career pathways, we have one career specialist who's helping students find jobs specifically in what it is that we do.
Thank you so much, Acadia. I don't see other questions in the Q&A. If you guys have other questions, please feel free to put it in there, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute you, can ask your question directly. Oh, I think Thomas has a question, and let me allow him to talk. Hi, Thomas. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. Or do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
My question was, going into carpentry, I've heard a lot like it's similar to the Marines and like how you're treated and like be uh, uh, can you say is that pretty close to what it is, or what's her opinion on that?
You were sort of fading in and out. If I understand your question correctly, you said going into carpentry is kind of like being treated in the Marines. You know, I think you're asking kind of like the toughness of that, sort of like that boot camp mentality. If that's kind of like what your question was, then the answer is absolutely yes. I tell my students that I'm in the classroom, I'm very nice, but when we're in the backyard working, I'm sometimes a little tough, because that construction culture, you know, bosses aren't always going to be nice. And it's not because it's something personal or they're being mean to you. That's just the construction culture. You know, time is money. We got to hurry up and get this building going. So sometimes they're not always going to call you by your name. You know, they'll make up a nickname for you. Not rude or anything. Like, there was never a time that I felt I had to go cry, someone was making fun of me, I'm a woman, nothing like that. But it's just like, yeah, it can have that sort of harsh kind of boot camp mentality, because just like, you know, if you were in the military of some sort. So yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up, because people need to be aware of that construction culture. It's not always the most polite space.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas, for the question. I see a question from the Q&A. If I already have some experience in construction, less than 2 years, and looking to get back into it, what is the best resource to find a job?
Ooh, a little bit difficult to answer, because it kind of depends on what kind of job. Are you looking to be a tradesperson, or are you looking to go in the office, you know, the management side? I would say you would probably have to reach out to some kind of career counselor to sort of see what avenues are available to you. Um, yeah, it's difficult for me to sort of answer that without knowing what direction you'd want to go into. You want to be, you know, a tradesperson with the bags on, or you want to work in the office. Mm.
Thank you, Arcadia. So for the library does have career coaching programs. We have in-person career coaching on Wednesday and Thursday. You can go onto the library homepage, click on events, and look for career coaching. And there should be a link that you can click on to register and make an appointment. But if you prefer to do virtual coaching, you can take advantage of Job Now, Bringfield's Job Now. You can talk to a career coach virtually Monday through Sunday from 1 to 10 p.m. Oh, and Angela just put the career coaching event link in the chat. Thank you, Angela. I don't see another question in the chat. Anyone who have question, feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you. And if there's no more question, I want to thank Arcadia for sharing your expertise and insights with us today, your personal journey, practical advice and passion for the construction industry are truly motivating. We really appreciate you taking the time to help others understand the challenges and opportunities in the field, especially for women entering the trades. Your knowledge and dedication are invaluable, and we're grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. I also like to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope you all find the presentation both engaging and helpful. I'll be sending out an evaluation survey along with Arcadia's presentation slides and a link to today's recording. Your feedback, it's very important to us, so please take a moment to share your thought to help us improve our future programs. Thank you once again, everybody, and wishing you all a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.